Hello, and we are back after a long, or what feels like a long hiatus of around 2 weeks. The Anglo-Italian pod is back, but we're looking slightly different this time. We are sadly missing Tommy, but I've made up for it by inviting several new guests, or not new guests, some old returners. I think you've all been on the show before, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
I think we've all been on. So I am joined by representing Turkey. We have Kemal. How are you doing, mate?
Not bad. Yourself?
Not bad, thank you. Representing England, but in a Spain shirt, we have Andy. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. All good.
Good. Then we have from Ossetia B special, all the way from Barcelona, but representing Italy, we've got Luca. Come va, Luca?
Always good, man. Thank you for the invitation. Ready to begin this Euro 2021 or 2020, as you prefer.
We can clear that up shortly as to what we're calling it, which one we're deciding on. And then another guest, as if we're not treating you well enough, we have representing Poland, Adam. How are you, mate?
Dobry wieczór. Yes. Keeping well. Thank you, Rory.
Good. So we're going to do the show backwards. But before we do that, Luca raised a very good point. Euro 2020, Euro 2021 views, guys. What do we think?
I don't care as long as there's football.
Yeah,
I like that answer.
I'm just like, they're calling it Euro 2020. Like, nothing makes sense, but we'll roll with it. And nothing's really made sense over the past year or so. So we might as well just carry on.
I like this attitude. Come on, which one?
I'm not decided yet. Not decided.
We're going to switch as we see fit. I think Luca's in the same boat. But as we go through, we're going to start backwards and we're going to kind of start with the most interesting group, I think, guys. We're going to start with Group F, the group of death, which, of course, features France, Germany, Portugal, and the unlucky sods that are Hungary. So, does anybody think that Hungary will not finish bottom of this group?
I think
I'm going to leave that pause in. I'm not going to edit that out. I'm going to leave the pause in. And we're going to switch to who do we think is going to finish first? Who wants to take this one?
Oh, France.
France, for sure.
France, yeah.
Easy.
Good. Yeah. So I think in previous years that Portugal have always struggled to win their first opening game. They always seem to either draw or lose their opening games and then sort of build up as the tournament goes on. So, yeah, I can see France hitting it from day one, to be honest.
Very nice. So, assuming as everybody's talking France, shall we take a deep dive into their squad, see how they're looking? And of course, the big surprise coming into the tournament was that Didier Deschamps has ended Benzema's stint in the cold by calling him back, only for him to get injured in the warm-up game before the tournament. So what does this mean for the lineup? Do we think the most beautiful man in football, Oli Giroud, is going to get his rightful place leading the line? What do we think, Adam?
I think, obviously, he will stick with Giroud for the majority of games. I think he will kind of maybe guess where he thinks Benzema might have the edge in certain games. Like I think we said offline, we don't feel like maybe Benzema will play every game. But certainly, I think under pressure, he's had to bring him in. And rightly so, his form has been magnificent for Real Madrid. But yeah, I mean, he's trusted Giroud. Giroud's got a good record for France. The squad knows how to play with Giroud, so why break a formula that doesn't obviously need breaking up, right?
No, I like it. Exactly. They won the World Cup with Oli, so I don't see why they know they can definitely trust him. He's now only 5 goals behind Henry's record, which is mad when you say it out loud, I think. Luca, what do you think? Will France have to change how they play if they have to go for Giroud or Benzema?
I completely agree with Adam. I think Giroud will start mainly every game. He's like a talisman, for that team, and he's perfect if you consider like he's the perfect striker, a big man as a striker there. I think it's perfect. It's perfect. And if I were Deschamps, I love Benzema, but I would start with Giroud. I think Giroud is simply perfect now and at this moment for this team. So yeah, I would stick with Giroud.
Okay, nice. Kemal, any preference for Giroud, Benzema?
I'm more for Giroud. Although he's not like a prolific forward, I don't think he's a good team player. His hold-up play is just unreal as well. But I just don't think he scores enough goals. That's all it is. But I think it'll probably be him.
I think that's just the Arsenal fan in you speaking about that 15-16 season that we will never, ever forgive him for, and the Monaco Champions League tie, when he completely forgot how to score goals. One day we'll forgive you, Ollie, I think.
One day.
But if we're looking at the France squad, I saw an interesting chat on Twitter today about where is the weakness in this France squad? Everyone's talking about how great it is. Do they have any weaknesses? Where is it in the field? Anybody can jump in on this one.
I'll probably say maybe like a bit of a stretch, but I reckon maybe in defence, to be honest with you, because you look at some of the defenders that are staying home, right? So you've got Laporte, who's obviously pledged his allegiance to Spain. You've got obviously Upper Meccano, who seemed to be a Bayern Munich player, not even in the squad, and you've got Clement Lenglet, who's never been that brilliant for Barcelona. Kimpembe, he has a habit of imploding in big Champions League ties, which doesn't really bode well. And Kurt Zouma is, he's improved, but at the end of the day, a couple of years ago, he was on loan at Stoke. And it's a bit strange how he manages to get into the France squad ahead of the players that aren't in it. So I think that's where they could potentially be got at. So, for example, if they'll probably be starting with Varane for sure. If he gets injured or suspended for whatever reason, I think that's where they could be in a bit of a trouble. So, like I said, it is a bit of a stretch. And obviously on the flanks as well, Bard hasn't got the most pace in the world. Luca Dean has had his injury problems as well. So I think it's a bit of a stretch, but I think that's where you could potentially get at them, especially on the counter.
Nice. I like that. The only position that came to mind for me was, and feel free to shout at me about this, but I thought maybe goalkeeper. I thought Lloris, his better days are behind him, and maybe they have better options for goal now. What do you think, Kemal?
I totally agree with that. I think whoever's playing against them just needs to shoot from their own area and just hope for the best and just launch a 50-yard screamer. That's the way to go.
I feel like for Spurs, his form has definitely dipped. And when you see goalkeepers like Maignan from Lille, and I feel like there's a bit of pressure there. And now I know he is also captain, so he's going to have a big influence within the squad. But I was surprised maybe that they weren't trying to move on from Lloris.
But do you think possibly because he's got such a defensive lineup / midfield, right, with likes of Kante, I think that's going to be critical. That kind of alleviates the pressure on Lloris, so he's not under pressure. Because, I think there was an argument about Lloris at the last tournament when they won, for example, and he wasn't the strongest even then, I don't think. But again, he had a stronger kind of lineup in front of him, so it meant actually teams couldn't take advantage of maybe those corners where maybe he flaps or, those situations. So personally, I think maybe the players in front of him will shield him, and maybe you won't see the calamity moments that maybe, say, England would get with Pickford, for example.
So what you're really saying is it's Spurs' fault that he's a terrible keeper, is that what we're saying?
Well, I'll take your word.
That's how I'm going to interpret it anyway. That's how I'm going to interpret it. But we could talk about France for the whole hour, I think, but we should talk about the other two huge teams in this group. And let's start with Germany. Now, this is Joachim Löw's last tournament in charge of their Mannschaft. And before he's obviously going to be replaced by Hansi Flick. Do we think he's going to send them off in a positive note, or is it he just here to transition them from the last tournament to the World Cup next year, which sounds mental to say? What do we think, Luca? What shape do you think Germany are in for this tournament?
And Germany is Germany, so you can tell it wherever you want, but I think at the end they will be again at the semifinals. So yeah, it's always like this, you can expect it. So I think they will do good. The only thing for me I saw like the lineup and I have some doubts. If you see like there is Gosens is amazing in Atalanta, but is this kind of, when you play for Atalanta, is this, these players that they play for the football team, for their team, and they're amazing. And then when they go for the national team, it's a bit different. So I don't know. I saw him struggling a bit. Gosens. I really love him, but I have some doubts. And it depends how they will play, because I saw that they were playing with Goretzka, Kimmich. There was no Gundogan sometimes. No Gundogan and no Cross in some games that I saw. So it's really tough to believe that that a team can start without these two big names. And the last doubt that I have is about the three in front, because I saw that they can play Kai Havertz, Werner, and Müller. And I have some doubts about Werner. I have to be honest. Yeah, I have some because it's good, but the Euro Cup it's a short tournament. You need to score. You need to win now. So I think if I could choose, I would choose Kai Havertz, Müller, and Sané. Werner, I would not start with Werner. I have some doubts with Werner. I don't really like him. So I think it's a bit like fluffy sometimes. It's not like, it doesn't even look like German squad, German is really like decisive and strong, and sometimes it's a bit like too lost. So for me, they need to think about it.
Well, I think this is the thing with the Germany squad. They've got, for a team that I think is clearly in transition, they've got, yes, a lot of options and clear decisions to make. Because even when Luca there was no Gnabry in that side, right? Whereas you would think he would be starting. They've had to bring back Thomas Muller and Mats Hummels, even though they stopped calling them up for the team. So I feel like there's some big decisions there to be made. Adam, what do you think of the Germany squad? How do you think they'll shape up?
I think basically what Lucas says, you can't underwrite the Germans. As much as I'd love to be doing this right now about Germany, you just know there's something about them that seems to grind out results. Even when they're at their worst, you just have this feeling that they thrive on that pressure of not being the favourite. I think previous tournament when they did really badly, they were the favourites then, whereas this time, not many people actually fancy them this time round. So maybe there is that thought of let's prove them wrong, especially for Joachim Löw. He's got nothing to lose. He's going out regardless. So whether he wins another trophy for them, he doesn't care, I don't think. I think what is telling, though, is that while we're speculating on the likes of Werner not being great and Kai Havertz, they'll learn from these experiences. So maybe it will stead them in the long run. My worry would be is you don't seem to see that same production line coming through. So where we had the last 10 years, lots of promising German players, I don't see it at the same extent these days. I know they are working at under 15, 16 levels and they seem to be really good, but that's going to be a good few years away now. So what have you got right now coming through? And I mean, obviously there's that Musiala, who they took off from England. He's playing for Bayern. Maybe potentially he might be a good player in the future. But again, that's just one player. You've got Neuer potentially you have to replace. We've got Hummels, for example, at the back. And Niklas Süle is not a replacement. No. He has been absolutely awful for Bayern this season. He's like Bambi on ice at times. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks around Germany, but don't write them off. That's what I would say.
I think there's quite a few players where there seems to be very packed for the midfielders, but you look at, the forward line, obviously, Timo Werner, I was just looking up his stats. He's got 12 goals in 52 games overall. And 6 in 35 in the Premier League. I mean, that's not £50-odd million worth of return, is it? And then they've had to bring back Kevin Volland, who hasn't played for the national team in about 6 years, I think it was. Who's had... he's not like a world-class striker. He's got, I think, was it 16 in 35 he got for Monaco in the league, which ain't bad, but it's not like cutting edge. So I think they're going to rely on Thomas Muller, who has, to be fair, keeps enduring in his consistency. It's probably like a false nine. But it's even that like wing back, and they haven't really got much options like Matthias. They've got Halstenberg, and Klosterman, who haven't had standout seasons. No. They've called up Robin Koch from Leeds, and Leeds, let's be honest, aren't fantastic defensively. I mean, they just run off vibes. Defense is the best way to describe them. So I think they're another team where they've got a really, really soft centre. I mean, you can't ever discount them, especially when you've got the talent in midfield. I mean, you've got Leon Goretzka. I mean, he should do a fitness video, by the way. But Or tell us what he's taking, one of the two.
Yeah.
Do you remember that summer? He started the summer skinny, and then he comes back built like Hulk. I mean, I want to know what that routine is.
It's like it was like when you saw those videos of Torres. He'd been bodybuilding. It's like it happened overnight. You're like, how the hell did that happen? It looks unnatural. It looks completely unnatural.
Absolute unit.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. But yeah, I think the interesting point, raising the stats there of Werner. I think there's a few teams that we could maybe level this at, but not having a clear out and out goal scoring threat. And I think Germany might suffer from this. Kemal, what have been your impressions of Werner in the Premier League this year?
For me, I think the stats aren't telling the true story. He does so much off the ball. He's a selfless player. I think he's assisted a fair amount. I'm not just saying that because he was in my fantasy football team and I've captained him every week, but
that is perseverance. Fair play to you.
Yeah, and I did all right actually. But I mean, he gets in the right positions. He's just been unlucky, I think. And I think next season, if they carry on picking him, I think he's going to score so much more and assist a lot more also.
Yeah, you're right. I think he will next season. I think he'll have a much better season. I can see him easily banging in 15, 20 goals. I guess the concern in the Euros is that, especially when it comes to the tight knockout stages against good teams, you might only have one or two chances to put one away. You know, if you're playing in a team like Chelsea, you'll probably have 4, 5, 6 goes a game at getting a goal, and I'm sure next season he'll do a lot better. But when you've got that one chance and you're through and goal, like, would you back him to score it? Like, would you put your nan on the fire to as a backing to score it? And I don't think you would at this stage, and that's good. If I was a Germany fan, that's where I'd be concerned.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting in the right positions, though, and I think that's more crucial at times. Even if he can get an assist here or there, I think he's got to be in the month to start in 11. I feel, but that's just my opinion. I'm not the.
We will see if he gets the starting space. I do think it will be him up top with kind of Muller doing the Raumdeuter, however you say it, behind him. But before we move on to the next group, we need to talk about Portugal. Andy, I'm going to throw to you because I get the feeling you're going to want to talk about Bruno Fernandes at some point.
I never turned down opportunity to talk about Bruno Fernandes. But yeah, they've got an awful lot of talent in there. It's just absolutely insane. They've got almost 2 players for every position to an extent. I mean, the midfield, they've got Ruben Neves, Bruno Fernandes, João Moutinho, was getting on a bit. Renato Sanchez, he's had a bit of a renaissance at Lille. And he's always been trusted from the Portugal side of things. And then you've got the, William Carvalho. But yeah, I think it'd be good to see Bruno Fernandes really do it on the big stage. It'd be interesting to see who takes the penalties. That'll be an interesting one to do. But yeah, I think they've got a great squad. I don't think Bruno's ever really excelled that much in the international stage as of yet, but there's no time like the present, as they say. I think they've just got. I think compared to the Portugal team over the years, they've got a bit more sort of balance. If you look at what they've got up front, you've got because I remember back in the days when they used to have like Nuno Gomez rocking up front, or as recently as 2016, Eder, who famously scored not very much for Swansea, and now they've got quite a plethora of options. You've got Diego. They're another one which don't really have, apart from Andre Silva, maybe a classic number 9. There'll be a lot of people playing in the hole, like João Felix does it for Atletico. Diogo Jota, he played up front quite a bit for Wolves when he was there, and obviously he comes in on the left when he's playing for Liverpool. So I think they're one of the favourites to win it, to be honest with you. I think the only mild criticism, obviously, you got Jose Fonte 37 and Pepe at 38. I think if either one of those two, because it is a game of attrition, like, would they be able to cope with the games every 3 or 4 days in the knockouts?
Will they stay on the pitch as well?
Well, there's that. I mean, because obviously Pepe is a bit of a hothead. I think they're relying on Ruben Diaz an awful lot in that squad, I think, aren't they? But they've also got 2 of the best attacking fullbacks going as well. Like Rafael Guerreiro has got like a few goals, about 11 assists last season. And João Cancelo could play midfield, he could play left back, he could play right back. Nelson Semedo, I think, hasn't impressed me much for Wolves, to be honest. Like he's kind of like a slightly more defensive Adama Traore. He just runs fast, and that's about it, really.
Whenever I think of him, I always just see that performance against Bayern Munich for Barcelona where he just got absolutely roasted. I think that was him, right? And it's almost like, when you think of Mike On, you think of Gareth Bale versus Mike On. With Semedo, I just think of that Bayern Munich performance, and I think that's probably not fair on him. But yeah, I've not been impressed with him too much either. But Luca, how do you feel about Portugal? Do you think they're going to be pushing on for the trophy at the end? Can they retain it?
For the trophy, no. I don't see them the champion again, but really close. If they play how they know, really close. For me, again, the key will be Ronaldo, because I'm really interested to see how at the end of the season in Serie A, it was bad. It was not his best year, both for Juve and for Cristiano. But I had the feeling, the last 4 or 5 games that he was resting, that he was preparing mentally, for the Euro. So I expect a lot from him. For me, it will be like the really last chance where he can show again that he's a myth, So I expect a lot from this. I think that, the whole squad will be influenced by this. So according to how it will be, mentally, physically, and whatever, it will be one Portugal or another Portugal. Apart from that, I would really like to play Diogo Jota every game. This is my personal opinion. I love him, and I hope he will start every game because I really, really like him. I think he's mature enough, and he's really decisive also. He scores goals, he makes assists. He's good, very good. So I'm not sure he will start every single game. But let's see. But of course, Portugal for me, semi-finals. It can be. It depends how kind is the draw. When they pass the turn. But they can be in semi-final for sure.
No, well, I like that point about Jota. I think he was a great signing for Liverpool this year, and one of the brightest sparks of their. Okay, they had a bit of a disappointing season, but he was one of the brightest sparks of their season.
Yeah.
So before we move on to Group E, I'm just going to quickly go around and ask you who are going to finish first and second, starting with Kemal. Who finishes first? Who finishes second?
I'm going to go Germany and Portugal. I'm going to kick out France.
Oh, Andy, what do we think?
I think France finish first, Portugal second, and Germany third.
Okay, good. Adam?
I'm going with the same order. I agree with Andy for once.
Nice. And Luca, you're 1-2?
I think first will be Germany, and second will be Portugal, and France will struggle this year. Yeah.
Okay.
Third. Yeah.
2 people saying France third. I'm going to say France top and Portugal second. Good. So it's time to move to Group E. Adam, this is your time to shine. Talk to us about Poland. Regular listeners will know that I lived there for a while, always had a soft spot for the Polish and their national team. How high can I set my hopes for this national team in this tournament?
You should know better by now. Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it, right now? We don't really know what to expect from this Polish side. I mean, we're the envy of every nation by having Lewandowski up front, but our biggest problem is just generally as a team. So defensively, if we haven't got Glick at the back, for example, we are a shambles. In midfield, we've got some quality players who play their trade in Europe. But when it comes to playing as a team in the national side, we can't seem to get the likes of Zielinski, for example, to play the same game that he does at Napoli. We've got some bright sparks. So Kamil Józwiak, who plays for Derby County, he moved over there this season. He's done reasonably well. I mean, he has been injured for part of it, but he has got a touch about him. He's got a bit of pace. He really takes the ball to the attackers and defenders. And I think he'll be really critical for us. And he's one of the players we should be looking out for. Moda for Brighton. I tipped him to do really well when he did get that move. I think he'll be very good. But there is that argument that we don't have a lot of pace going forward. And, Lewandowski needs that going forward. He needs someone to provide him with opportunities. We're not Bayern Munich, unfortunately. We are the Polish national side. The other argument is we just don't know which Polish side decides to turn up because we do really well in qualifications and then screw it up when we come to the tournaments. But having said that, the last Euros, we went to the quarterfinals, being beaten by Portugal on penalties, which was unfortunate. We didn't think we'd get that far. It was a bit of a missed opportunity because Lewandowski wasn't on his A game at that particular match. So again, there was that argument with him at national and club level. Does he turn up for the big games? But yeah, there's going to be a lot of hopes on him to provide the goals or get the goals for us. It's just how do we get the ball to him? And yeah, I suppose the other thing to get your listeners to understand, we've only employed Paulo Sousa as a coach 4 months ago, going into this, which is very strange timing. No one at a Polish fan base kind of expected a change. We had Jerzy Brzęczek, who is an ex-Polish footballer, led us. He was bloody awful. So glad we got rid of him. But the problem is Sousa hasn't had a lot of time to get maybe the players he wants right now. He's been bold enough to pick players like Przemek Frankowski, who plays for MLS, Chicago Fire. We didn't anticipate that because he's been a bit of a hovering kind of player that never really kind of threatens to be in the national side. So it'll be interesting to see how he's done or does anyway. But also he's been forced a hand because Milik's injured, Piontek is injured as well. Them two would have probably played in a front three with Lewandowski or kind of gone into a 4-5-1 formation with them players on the wings or maybe Milik behind. There's so many combinations you could do with that Polish squad. Ultimately, though, I think I'll be optimistic and say I think we'll do enough to get out of the group stages, but I don't think we'll get out of the last 16. That's personally my point.
I like that. Well, we'll go through the group. So it's obviously Poland, Slovakia, Spain, and Sweden. I think you're right about Poland. The last World Cup that you were in, I remember, was a really underwhelming performance, and it felt like if Lewandowski didn't turn up, nobody turned up. But yeah, I hope that you're going to make it through. Who do you think are the biggest threat to your qualification in that group?
I think there's 2 teams. So for me, it's the obvious Spain. But then when you read, I read anyway, a lot of Spanish people don't feel confident about that squad. And obviously we know there's a little bit of politics with Luis Enrique and not including Real Madrid players. I wonder why that is. But yeah, I mean, generally they've got an interesting squad, but then at the same time, you're relying on Gerard Moreno to score your goals at the moment, it seems, because Alvaro Morata, I mean, he hasn't done it for Juve this season in my eyes, and he's not that type of striker. But they've got some exciting wingers. Daniel Olmo, he's been doing really well. And then you've got Ferran Torres, for example. So, and, at the back, Pau Torres as well. So again, they've got some really good players. So I anticipate them to be finishing first. But again, it seems to be, from a Spanish point of view, how well they start the group, a bit like what we've been saying about Portugal. It seems to be, if they don't get to a good start, they may struggle. The other ones we have to say Sweden, obviously. I don't actually fancy them to be better than Poland, but they have got some good players. Kulusevski is going to be quite key, I think, personally. He's had a very good end to the season. Isak up front is going to be critical because I think defensively they're really strong. Halander's had a good season at Rangers. Obviously, your man, for Andy anyway, you've got the likes of, what was it? I've forgotten his name now. Lindelof, of course. And then Lustig at right back as well. So, yeah, solid team. Slovakia are going to be very underwhelming, though, because Hamsik is the key player for them. But he's only joined Gothenburg, in January window. Didn't really play that many games. He was getting fitness there by all accounts. And then they're relying on Andrzej Duda, who used to play in Poland for Legia Warsaw, played for Hertha Berlin, played for Norwich City. So here's my stats coming out. He is pretty much critical because he's the one that's got legs. They've got a midfielder called Jura Kuchka. Again, he's a good player, but he hasn't got the legs to last. He's 34 years old. Dubravka at the back, good solid keeper. Skriniar in defence. They're going to be a solid team. They're not going to be a pushover. But I think against the likes of, say, Poland, Sweden and Spain, I expect us to beat them. And it'll be interesting because the first game is Poland versus Slovakia. If we don't win, then it's going to be really difficult for us to get results in the next 2 games. But wait and see.
It's quite an open-ended group, isn't it? Because Spain don't look obviously fantastic. Like, especially compared to a few years ago. Obviously, in midfield, they've got a lot of depth, but, they've taken some of the decisions I find a bit strange. Like, Adama Traore hasn't had a great season for Wolves. Obviously, you can see what he adds to the team in terms of his pace on the counter, and I can see why he's been included, but his end product, which is what you need at these tournaments, is fantastic. And then you've got, apart from Emerick Laporte and Pau Torres, if either of those get injured, they've got Eric Garcia, who barely got a game for Man City this season, and he's somehow in the Spain squad. I don't understand how you would take Eric Garcia, who's barely played, and then reject Sergio Ramos for basically the same reason, that he's barely played. It doesn't make any sense until you bring in the Barcelona bias, maybe. Again, Diego Llorente, I think I've seen him for Leeds a fair bit. Like, it looks quite good on the ball, as you'd expect, having to play for a Leeds side under Bielsa. Obviously, Azpilicueta. I mean, I remember when in the FA Cup final, he started a lot right wing back, and he got absolutely torn to shreds because obviously he hasn't really got any pace. So I think they'll struggle a little bit, and they haven't really got a top class goal scorer up front. I think another one to watch out for Sweden, changing the subject a bit, is Jordan Larsson, who's the son of Henrik Larsson. He's had a decent season in Sparta Moscow, but he's obviously won the league in Russia, and he's got about obviously 15 league goals in about 30 odd games, which is not a bad return. So maybe that was a bit of a random score for you guys, wild cards.
There's one to keep your eye out on, but I'm going to take this opportunity to go to our man who is in Spain. Luca, what are they saying in Barcelona? How are they feeling about their national La Roja's chances of lifting the trophy?
Yeah, so I think concerning the group, just quickly, this is the most interesting group. I think is everyone can pass to the next round, honestly. I don't see any favorite one, but it's really concerning Spain, tiki-taka is over. And Luis Enrique had to move on. So he needed to do some choices, Spain can make big wins, but also very big disappointments. They won 6-0 against Germany in the Nations League, but then they did 1-1 with Greece, and they won with I think it was Georgia. They struggled a lot, so there is some noise here, in the country. There is some noise. This team has difficulties to score because, Gerard Moreno, he did the best season in life, but Morata did not, and then I have some doubts about this team. Also, the keeper Unai Simon will play. I don't know if he's ready. So many doubts. I don't think if I were a Spanish supporter, I would not expect much. I think they can win every game or even lose every game. I would not be surprised if they finish at 9 points or 0 points, honestly. So I think Adam is right. Poland can go through. Everyone can go through, honestly, in this group. I think it will be very equalized. Overall, I don't see Spain as a favorite. I don't even see them at the semifinals. What else? They have this Busquets now, as there is this COVID case for Busquets. So I don't know if they replaced him or for sure he will miss the first game or something. But we have to remember one thing: Spain will play home the 3 games with some funds, at least some funds in Seville. So this is the only plus that I give to them. Rather than this. Is a mystery. I think again everyone can finish first position, but I think they will go through. In the end. They will be either first, second, or third. I don't think it will be 0 points as I said. But if the draw is not kind. From the round of 16, it will be difficult for them, especially to score. Forget that Spain. Remember that Spain was scoring like 3-4 goals every. It's very different now. So there is some noise here in the camp.
Luca, I wanted to ask you a question. Sorry, Rory.
No, go for it.
Why do you think Spain have had to go to like players like Adama Traore and Emerick Laporte? They've even got Robert Sanchez from Brighton, for example. They've got these players that wouldn't be considered necessarily for the Spanish side. Is there a lack of quality coming through to the Spanish national team at the moment?
Yeah, I think I agree for sure. There is a bit of, there is a time when you need to make a change, and Luis Enrique made all the changes all together. So that's why you see this big change, because there are some big names. Saul, for example, Saul is not in the team, So he went. I agree with him. You need to make a choice. He made all the possible choices all together. So for me, it will be difficult for them, and there is a lack of quality at the moment. But they have good players, because if you see, they have Rodri, Fabian Ruiz, Ferran Torres. They are all potentially more than good, very good. But the problem is that at the moment they're not really, team. Good players, but not a real new team. So concerning Spain, for me, I don't know. I think they will struggle.
We shall see. Maybe this is the hipsters group. This is the group that you should you should be keeping an eye on. You can tell your friends about, right? So as we did with the last group, I'm going to quickly go around and you can say who finishes first, who finishes second, starting with Kemal.
I'm going Spain to top the group, and do you a favour, Adam. I'll say Poland to go for a second.
Thank you.
There we go. Andy, what do you reckon?
I'm going to go Spain to top the group and Sweden to finish second.
Adam, I think I might know what you're going to say, but what do we think?
Yeah, I'm going to go Spain top, though, still, and Poland second.
Very nice. Keep the belief. And Luca, what do we think?
I think Sweden first, Poland second, and Spain third.
Oh.
Wow, that is bold. On my accumulator, listeners will be keen to know, well, they will know. I always lose my accumulator, so this definitely won't happen. But I have put Spain top and Sweden second. I apologize, Adam. Good. Moving on to Group D. Finally, the only group that anyone cares about, Group D, which is, of course, the group which contains Croatia, Czech Republic, and England and Scotland. This is an exciting group. Andy, I'm going to throw to you. Let's go England. Let's talk about it. How are people talking at home? How are you feeling? Is it, in fact, coming home?
Yeah. Oh, well. In my head, in my heart, I'm like, yeah, it's coming home. In my head, I think what will probably happen is, realistically, I think if you say what is a good tournament, quarterfinals, semi-finals is probably what a lot of fans would go, that's okay. I think in terms of attacking talent, it's genuinely the most exciting England squad I've seen in years. Like we've got a lot of players who've had really good seasons at club level. Like Jadon Sancho's, chipped in with another 20 goals and assists. Harry Kane, probably the best striker in the league. Personally, I don't think there's any argument about that. Phil Foden has had a proper breakthrough season at Man City, and even the backup, you've got Calvert-Lewin, who's had, despite Everton's problems, adds a real different. He's like he's a real target man, but with a bit of pace. So you can get a lot out of him, and I think that is great. I think
Saka. Don't forget Saka. Come on, Saka.
Yeah, I forgot about Saka. He did score the other night as well. So I've got a mate at work who's a massive Arsenal fan. He was like, "What about Saka?" I was like, "Yeah, okay." But yeah, he's a good player, and in fact, he's so versatile. Like you could play him at left back. If it gets a couple of injuries there, you could play him, the left wing. He can. Probably.
Give it a go. He might have longer arms than Pickford. He might have longer arms than Pickford.
I probably trust Carl Walker in goal more than a couple of them, to be honest with you. Good, but and in midfield as well. I do think there was some odd selection decisions. So I think, or maybe I'm showing my bias as a Manchester United fan, but I don't understand the selection of Jordan Henderson. He's not kicked a ball since February. And when when we played the friendly last, on the Sunday, he looked awful. He looked well off the pace, and that was against quite mediocre opposition, to be honest with you. And then, he was brought into the squad because of his supposed leadership skills. And then the first thing he does is goes and takes a penalty off Calvert-Lewin, and then gives it the old Billy Big Bollocks, goes to take it himself and messes it up. Bearing in mind, he doesn't take penalties regularly for Liverpool. The last penalty he took for England was in the penalty shootout against Colombia in the World Cup, which he missed. And he's about 49 caps about a goal, and it was just purely self-motivated. And I think, considering some of the midfield players that might have missed out, I don't understand why you couldn't have taken Ward-Prowse in the head. Yeah. And then you've got obviously defenders. I mean, we're all known for having 8 million right backs. The fact someone as good defensively as Wan-Bissaka can't get into the squad, but and I think Gareth Southgate's staggering slightly that Alexander-Arnold can't make it, because I don't know. I think he bottled it slightly by taking him in the first place, because the general impression was beforehand he wasn't going to take him, because and I know a lot of Liverpool fans were incredulous about it, but for England, he's never been particularly great. No. He certainly hasn't put in the level of performances that you get at Liverpool. And, it's not like there's a bunch of bombs as alternatives. You've got, a Champions League winning right back in Reece James, who's had a great season at Chelsea. You've had, you've got Kyle Walker, who's obviously got the flexibility to put him at the right centre back. He can play a back three, and his positionally could be a bit suspect at times, but his recovery pace is fantastic. It's just, and you've got Trippier, who's got the threat from set pieces, regular, apart from when he obviously got banned, a regular, set piece taker, good delivery, really good delivery of the ball. I think so. That's that. It's just in defense, centre of defense. It really, really concerns me.
I think Maguire's going to be a big miss, right? And I don't know about you, but I just do not trust Tyrone Mings at all.
Honestly, I mean, you've probably seen my tweets. Like, I watched him in the 2 friendlies, and I was scared. And I think when he just
body checked that player, he just body checked the player in the penalty box, and you're like, well, there's one penalty given away in the first game. When we play Scotland, he's just going to take Shea Adams out. Like,
There's no VAR. There's no VAR in that game, but guaranteed if there'd have been VAR, that would have been a penalty. And even against, in the other game, like he just looks so sluggish,
clumsy.
Yeah.
He's clumsy.
Very. He's brought in as being obviously a left-footed centre back, but I think Maguire is a huge miss. For as much as people are giving him a bit of stick, especially we had a bit of a difficult start to the season because his extracurricular activities in Greece. He is still hands down England's best defender, and I think the only hope is that if they get through the groups, he doesn't look like he's going to be fit for the first game because he's not even trained yet. And I think they've drafted in Ben White because
I would take him over Mings.
I would start him. Honestly, I would, even though he's come in as the last minute man, I would start him for England against Croatia, because I don't want to see Tyrone Mings anywhere near that squad. And I think if, with the benefit of hindsight, he should have told Mings to go home after those 2 friendlies, bring Ben White in. He should have told Jordan Henderson to pack his bags and bring Ward-Prowse. But, at the end of the day, these are the cards have been dealt with. I still think we'll do really well. Jordan Pickford, as much as he's a bit suspect at club level, he always seems to turn up for England, which you take. And I think if you can get the ball to Harry Kane, we'll score a lot of goals. And I think they've got options. You can go with the pacey approach on the wings. You can go with the pace of Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford, and Raheem Sterling. And if you need a little bit of craft, because again, one of the things that England aren't very good at over the years is retaining possession and game management, because you always seem to score in the first half of knockout stages and then concede in the second. That's where you get your players like Foden and Grealish. I mean, in the games against Austria and Romania, Grealish was our best player, purely because he can get the ball from A to B and he gets kicked the living shite out of every single game, but he'll win free kicks.
Yes.
He'll get the ball in the corner. He's got a lot of nous. And that's the kind of thing that England have missed over the years.
Yeah.
So like I said, I think a quarters and semis is absolutely realistic. So I guess we should probably talk about the other teams that are involved in this
but quickly before we do, I want to talk, because I think there's an interesting dilemma on who gets picked, because obviously Southgate really likes to pick Mount, right? We know that he likes Mount. But with the performances of Grealish in the friendlies and Foden in the throughout the season, how is he going to manage? Because I think you cannot start an England team without Grealish and Foden at this point. So I don't know where Mount comes into that. In the midfield, is it him with Henderson and Rice? Or I don't know if he can still fit, like, how do you fit all those players in? It feels like what you said at the top of the kind of England discussion of this is the most promising attacking team we've seen in England for a long time. How do you think he can fit all these players in? Like, Kemal, what do you think?
I think. Sorry, go on. Yep.
Yeah, no. For me, he's going to have to sacrifice one of them, and for me, it's got to be between Foden, Mount. Grealish just looks like he has to start. He looks so good in the friendlies. And Rice has had such a good season. So, yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm not making that decision. But for me, I think Grealish he's just got to start 100%. And I'd sacrifice one of the other two, Mount or Foden.
And sorry, Andy, what do you think? How can we fit everybody in there?
Well, I think you could put Grealish on the left, because he does come in from the left quite a bit at Aston Villa. So I think you could probably just stick him out there. Personally, I'd be brave. You'd have Foden in an attacking midfield role in like a midfield three, and then stick Mount could link up, play a little bit deeper with Declan Rice supporting, but it depends on the opposition. You have to bear in mind that each team can make up to 5 substitutions. And I think it depends on the opposition as to what lineup Gareth Southgate will have. I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all first 11 where you can go, that's the first 11, they'll win every game. I think they'll need something different in each game. Like, for example, I think against Croatia, like, he's probably going to be a bit more conservative. You probably start with like Phillips and Rice and probably Mason Mount as a midfield three, and then have the other lads to bring on as the game progresses. Whereas I think with Scotland, you could probably have a little bit more. You probably need a little bit more craft. I think it'll have tailored solutions for each game, I reckon.
Nice. Lots of chopping and changing. It is good that we've got plenty of options. I personally just hope that Saka comes on and scores a goal, and we've got an Arsenal-England goal in a tournament for the first time in a long, long time.
When was the last goal? That's a fun pub quiz question.
It was Danny Welbeck was the last Arsenal player to score for England, but I don't know if that was at a tournament. That might just be to score for England, which says just how long ago it was. At least it isn't Francis Jeffers, right? At least he's not the last one to have scored for England. But Andy, you were right to try and move us on. I think we should talk about. There are 3 other teams who are rudely standing in England's way of progression. We have Croatia, Czech Republic, and Scotland. We'll quickly go north of the border. Scotland, can they get out the group stage?
Yeah. It's hands down their best squad for years, isn't it? Like, they've got, for the first time in a few years, they've got quite a few players playing, at a decent club level. Billy Gilmore is probably the wild card in there, but he's always done quite well for Chelsea when he's been asked to. Scott McTominay, literally starts every game for Man United when he's fit. Stuart Armstrong as well, another very consistent player. And John McGinn, like, he's really, really good deep line sort of playmaker, actually. He had this injury last season, but this season he's actually quite underrated, I reckon, in terms of his ability to, ping it about a little bit. And obviously, if you look at the options in defence, so they've got the left back problem, whereas England have the right back problem. Kieran Tierney, as you probably testify, is very, very good. Obviously, and Andy Robertson as well. And you also got Nathan Patterson for Rangers, who's broken through quite recently at the right back side thing, giving them a bit more options there as well. And then it's, I guess, in the forward line, they've somehow found their Scottish passport for Che Adams.
That, for me, is such a big coup for them. I think that is
that's a
very,
massive win.
very clever move, because I was looking at their squad and thinking, typical Scotland, they haven't got a striker. Adam, I don't know about you, but Che Adams has really impressed me in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the goals that I kind of remember is that goal against Sheffield United, where he took it on the volley, bashed it into that top corner, and you kind of saw that quality. But he's been really good this season, really dragging defenders left, right, and centre. I think he's been unfortunate that he's been at a Southampton side that have been struggling, and therefore his efforts haven't been recognised as much. But yeah, for Scotland, he's brilliant for them, especially as Lyndon Dykes, who also got a Scottish passport somehow. He hasn't been brilliant. I can testify he was bloody awful for QPR against Wickham. He's not international class. But yeah, as you've rightly said, Che Adams is a coup for them. Definitely.
I think that just fulfills just a nice little hole in their squad was filled there, and it gives them a kind of focal point. And like you said, his finishing in the league has been ridiculous. I think they could maybe be a bit of a surprise package, but we're going to move to Croatia quickly. Their midfield is possibly one of the best midfields in the tournament. They have Brozovic, Modric, and Kovacic. That is an incredible midfield. I'm going to put Luca on the spot. Luca, what do you think of Croatia? What do you think their chances are? Is it a bit too long since their World Cup glories, or can they continue it?
Well, it depends. What do you expect from them? To win or to go to the final or even to the semi-final? I don't think, honestly. To pass the group, I think this is a poor group, honestly. I don't think there will be like a third team that will pass to them. I think it will be England and Croatia, and I don't see Scotland or the Czech Republic going through. I think for England and Croatia will be relatively easily to win this group. Yeah, honestly. But Croatia is good. It's good, but for sure is very, very far from what it was by the final of the World Cup. Just because it's a different time, that time was now or never, and now it's a different thing. But of course, it's a good team. The midfield you mentioned is impressive. So it's nice. I'm very curious for concerning England. Because I see, in my opinion, too many attacking players. So when you see the midfield, I only see to contain. I see there must be I think there is a problem because Jordan Henderson, Declan Rice, and then other options. You have Bellingham and Phillips. All the rest, if you see Mason Mount, Phil Foden, and then you have Grealish, and then there is also Sancho. We didn't mention. They're all, one direction players. So I think this is a good problem to have, of course, if you know what I mean. But with only if you don't want Rice to play, as you said, or you don't want, there must be someone there to contain. You cannot go. It will be nice to have like 6 players all attacking, but I don't know.
I think Calvin Phillips will do a good job of that one because Leeds are similar. If you look at Leeds, they're a very similar team. They're very much all out attacking and constantly in transitions back and forward. And Calvin Phillips is the one that knits it together for him. He's the one that keeps it from conceding 1 goal as opposed to 2. And from on the ball, he's a big lad as well. But on the ball, he's actually really good from deep. Spreading it out. And I think with Declan Rice as well, I think if you put those two in the centre midfield, that's actually a really good defensive unit. And also as well, I was thinking about it just now that Declan Rice can actually play centre back as well.
Yeah.
I'd rather play him at centre back than play Tyrone Mings.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right about Calvin Phillips. I'm always impressed with how quickly he gets the ball forward. His transition passes are incredible. He really does find the wingers really quickly. Very, very exciting player. I think we should quickly talk about Czech Republic. Souček and Soufal are the two players that stand out there. Patrick Schick. So I think, again, they're not going to be a pushover. But I'm going to quickly move on to the Group C. But before we do, our predictions for Group D, starting again with Kemal, first and second.
England, Croatia.
Andy?
England, Scotland.
Oh, Adam?
England, Croatia.
Luca?
England, Croatia.
I have put England, Croatia. I'm liking the England-Scotland shout. Let's go to Group C, which is another intriguing one, I think. No one really head and shoulders above here, I don't think. We have Austria, the Netherlands, with, I'm going to say, the worst coach in top flight management at the moment. North Macedonia and Ukraine. So I'm going to put my stall out early. I think Netherlands are going to be the biggest disappointment of this tournament. I think their squad isn't as strong as it has been in the past. The players that they were putting a lot of hopes on, like De Jong, kind of struggled a little bit, and De Ligt has been struggling a little bit. Depay is their only player that's kind of been scoring. They've also got Weghorst, but I don't think the coach is going to play him despite how good a season he's had. And I think the squad just looks a bit uninspiring. What do we think about this group? Anybody feel free to jump in. How do we feel this group's going to go?
I think, if I'd be brutally honest, I look forward to seeing North Macedonia doing quite well in this group. I think they've got an outside chance of maybe, like you've alluded to, Netherlands don't look very strong at all. They barely beat Poland in a friendly when we were just like trying a few players out. And they're definitely not the same Netherlands that we know and love. But yeah, I think they've been really reliant on Donny van der Beek as well. I think they felt that he would have had a better season for Man United. It hasn't happened.
He's out the tournament now as well.
Yeah, so De Jong's going to be the critical player there. But I think also Ukraine should not be underestimated. Obviously, I think Shevchenko is not the kind of coach you imagined him to be. But with Malinovsky in that side, they've pulled off some good results against France more recently. I think they've got a good chance of getting out of it. I think if there's a side that might struggle or definitely might get 0 points, it's definitely Austria. I know they've got Sabitzer, I know they've got Alaba, but every time I've seen them, they just look disappointing. I just can't see them getting many points, really. But yeah, that would be my two tips. I'd say Ukraine and North Macedonia, personally.
Nice. Luca, I know that you were pretty excited, or you are excited to watch North Macedonia, right?
Yeah, for sure, because, man, it's a nice story. It's a nice story. If you consider the resources they have, also the history, of this country, the recent history of this country, it's nice. And I agree. I think, guys, they beat Germany in the not long time ago, and it was amazing, huh? It was completely deserved. So I agree, and I also hope that they will do a very good tournament. I don't think, because I read some stories, it's already a dream for them to be there. No, I think they will. They have a good chance, because it's not that, again, it's poor group. I agree. I read some, the Netherlands is top 6 or things like this. I completely disagree. I saw them in the group. It was Italy, Poland, at the Nation League. With Poland, they struggled a lot. They really struggled a lot to even to play, to be constant. It does not convince me, to be honest. So if I check the group and I see, and I said from the beginning, my opinion, Ukraine will win the group. I think it's a very good team, and I think they can win the group. And Netherlands is not my, in my top, 4 or top whatever, but I don't see them being at the bottom of the group. I think I agree with Adam saying that Austria is probably the weakest team there. So I can see them. I don't know. I think they will struggle to even to win a game or even to do 1 point. So I think the most important game will be the first one, Austria or Macedonia. This will be the most important game of the group.
I'm going to take a moment to stick up for Austria here. I think they've got some decent players, though. They've got Sabitzer, they've got Alaba, they've got a few players around the field where you think they can.
They have. It's true, but if you see them playing, it's really like, man, it's a bit disappointing. I think
as a team, they're terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
As a team, it's really terrible. I think North Macedonia is better team for sure. If you compare to as a team,
Yeah.
Okay.
They're living the dream, So for me, Austria will be the last one, and I think North Macedonia can. I think they can finish. I don't want to say first or second because maybe I'm asking too much. But third position, they can make it. They can make it.
Okay, nice. So I'm going to quickly go around who we think is going to finish first and second. I'm going to say in my bet, I did put Ukraine to go through top and Austria second. I'm now suddenly double thinking about that. I'm going, oh crap, maybe that's the one that screws it up. Kamal, what do we think about this group? Who's first, who's second?
Oh, Netherlands go for as top and Austria's second. I just think that although they're having a bad spell at the moment, I think they're just a bit better than the other teams in the group. So Netherlands and Austria.
Very nice. Andy?
I think it'd be a group where, the sum is greater than the parts. I think Ukraine will finish top. I saw the other day that they've got 10 players just from Dynamo Kiev. So just for literally one club, that's got to be a record, I think. And yeah, they've got some like these really decent players as well. And I think they'll finish top because especially more unity as a team. And I think finishing second, I think I'm going to be a bit romantic here and go for North Macedonia because I think Austria are just shithouses. They just kick people, especially the game against England. And I think Holland will implode because Frank de Boer, as he said, I don't know how he's got the job.
Honestly, it blows my mind how he's still a manager. Crystal Palace, he should never have managed again.
Even at Atlanta United in MLS, the resources that Atlanta United have got are absolutely insane, and the caliber of players they've got, given the standard of their league as designated players, he should have done so much better than he did there. And that was a ready-made job with everything handed to him on the plate. He's just terrible, and I think they're going to implode. There's always one team that implodes and falls out and stuff like that, and I think you're going to see that with the Holland team. I think it's just going to all go to shit, and it's going to be hugely entertaining.
Well, I look forward to it personally. Adam, what do we think? Who's first, who's second?
Andy, I agree with you again, mate. I don't know what's happening here, but definitely can see Goran Pandev scoring a few goals here. Like Andy said, I can see Netherlands really, if they get to a bad start, then they may have a struggle to try and win the further games. Ukraine seem like a team that might galvanize and, prove a few doubters wrong. And it'll be great. We said offline, how great would it be if they played Russia in the next round thereafter, especially given for the context of the viewers, their shirts. Have a look at that. It's got a certain region considered as part of Ukraine. And it was passed by UEFA. But yeah, I think Ukraine top and it'll be North Macedonia second for me.
Very nice. And finally, Luca.
Same as said before. Ukraine top, North Macedonia second place, and no third team. Home directly for the Austria and the Netherlands.
Very nice. So before we get to the main event of Group A, we do have to go to Group B, which I think is another intriguing group, but could be a walk in the park for one team in particular. This is Belgium, Denmark, Finland, and Russia. Now, we were talking about the whipping boys right at the beginning of the show of Hungary. Do we have another case of whipping boys here in Finland? What do we think, Andy?
Yeah, I think they're finished.
Very good.
Hey.
Sorry, I'm gonna leave now. It's good to see you, boys. Yeah, I don't think there's any expectation on them to probably even get a point, to be perfectly frank. But the fact they've qualified in the first place, I think, is something I'll be happy enough with. They haven't got, they haven't really got the caliber of players. Obviously, got maybe a Pookie Party is probably their best hope. But
they've got Glenn Kamara. They've got Joshua King, who's been released by Everton, right?
Craig from our pod obviously raised about Glenn Kamara. Very good. To be fair, he is a very good player, and the few times I've seen him play. So, I think they'll be quite compact, and they'll, try and keep it tight. I just don't see them really creating enough opportunities to score any goals. And needless to forget, with Timu Pukki, as much as he's done well in the Championship at Premier League level, he kind of fizzled out after the first sort of 3 or 4 months. So it's debatable whether he could do it at that level.
Yeah, no, I think that's massively fair. I think Finland, it's their first ever tournament, the first ever time they've qualified. I think it's for their country. It's just like when Iceland got there. Iceland did very well, but it's like more about being there and the achievement of getting there, I think. But the favourites for this group I have down as Belgium. Now, Kemal, I know you're a big fan of Belgium. What do you like about Belgium, and what do you think their chances are?
I really like them. I just think going forward, they've got a lot of quality, and I think they're obviously going to clearly finish top of the group, and I can see them getting into the semis quite comfortably. I don't really have a doubt that they won't get there. I think they're, in my eyes, one of the favourites. They really are.
Yeah, I feel like they've been in this position a few times, and then they've always we'll remember the last Euros where they got beaten by Wales in that incredible game with Hal Robson-Kanu scoring a worldie. I feel like they've kind of been here a few times, and maybe this is the time when they mature. Maybe this is the time they step up. Obviously, they've got the informed striker in Europe at the moment in Big Rom, now 60 goals at international level. At his age, it's just an insane statistic. But we were talking about it off mic again. I think the immobility of their centre-backs and Martinez's lack of ability to coach defending could be a big deciding factor for this team. What do we think, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, they're running on fumes at defence, and it doesn't seem to bode well. Because they've obviously not been able to have the quality to replace them either. Otherwise, it wouldn't still be in the squad. It's very much like a last goodbye, I think, for Alderweireld. Vermaele's playing in bloody Japan of all random places.
I thought he'd retired. I
forgot he existed. He's another one in the Yuri Zhirkov. Does he still play football? Scaled. And Jan Vertonghen, obviously still playing at a decent level in Benfica. I think this is probably the last chance to really make an impact, because you can have all the, because even up top, there's still some concerns there. Obviously you've got Lukaku's, he's had a very brilliant season at Inter, obviously scoring the goals that he has, but it's behind that I think there's concerns. You've got Leandro Trossard, who's very inconsistent. Eden Hazard's barely kicked a ball in anger for Real Madrid over the past couple of years, and has got 4 or 5 goals, I think. Christian Benteke, to be fair, ever since I called him a useless turd, it's chipped him with a few goals. And Michy Batshuayi, who is still a useless turd.
That guy's career confuses me a little bit, because it seems like he scores really big goals, kind of like he's in the Origi zone, maybe.
Yeah,
he's that kind of player, right? So maybe he scores the winner in the final, right?
Yeah, probably.
Michy Batshuayi tournament winning goal.
Yeah. I think there's concerns right at the top line, and obviously in defence, but their midfield is probably one of the best midfields in the tournament, wouldn't you say? It's up there.
Very strong midfield. They've got Witsel is fit, right? Or is he back? Is he still in?
Yearlemans, Carrasco.
Yeah.
I don't know if you class him that, but Dries Mertens, he can play on a wing, come in top. So Dennis Pratt, who played for Leicester City this season, has had a good season as well. So I think it's more, I would say, solid rather than like a imaginative kind of midfield. But
I think it's all
with
Kevin De Bruyne, isn't it?
Yeah,
He's
Well, that's it.
hands down.
He's got the creativity that everybody else is missing, I think. So I think they should be okay. But beyond Belgium, now we've seen, Luca, I'm going to go to you because we've seen Eriksen. He seems like he's starting to get back into his groove at Inter. Do we think he can push Denmark on in this tournament, or are they a bit of a one-man band?
I think Eriksen for Denmark is another player compared to how he was for Inter Milan. In Inter Milan, he struggled a lot. He had some problems with the coach, and only at the end of the season he was playing. At the beginning he was not even playing. He was playing like 4 minutes at the very end. It was like a bit humiliating. There were some problems, some noise, some rumor that maybe he will leave. But for Denmark, he's another player. I think he is the star. The problem for Denmark, for me, is the striker. I don't see them having a real striker. I saw Brett White playing sometimes as a striker, and I was a bit like, wow, amazing. So I don't know. Denmark is a good team. It's always a good team. It's a difficult team to face for me. So concerning Belgium, I have some doubts. I have some doubts, to be honest, because it's been a while that I know Belgium is amazing. Belgium is amazing. It's not the first year that we hear this story. Now it's almost, I don't know how many tournaments, maybe 10 years that we listen to Belgium is amazing. Belgium is the favorite. Belgium is number one in the FIFA ranking. But I have some doubts. Of course, it's a good team. I'm not saying that they will be last of the group or something, but I don't see them winning. I will be very surprised, I want to be honest, if they win the Euro, Belgium. And I also have some doubts concerning the fitness of some players, because Hazard, De Bruyne, and then there is also Mertens who barely played. One thing, they have good players for sure, but to put them all together, I was surprised. I was not surprised that sometime it was Castagne was playing. And it's good, Castagne is good. So
he's very good.
Yeah, he's very good. Martinez is a very good coach, in my opinion. I think, of course, they will win the group. They will go first. Probably they will win every game. I will not be surprised. I can see them in quarterfinals, but I will fly down a bit the enthusiasm, because at the end of the day, we have seen this how many times now? 3-4 times. Belgium is amazing. Belgium is fantastic. And then, they do good, but to win is another story. So for me, this is the thing. I have not big expectation, but I think Denmark will do good again, because it's if they fix it. I don't know. It needs to find a solution of the striker. If they find, then it will be a difficult team to face, because it's always like this. Denmark, it's a good team overall. It's a real team, So for me, they will go for sure. They will pass. They will struggle a bit maybe, but I think they will be second. Poor Finland said, it's the same thing as for North Macedonia, but I see them even maybe they is the weakest team of the whole tournament. Just saying, Finland.
Yeah, I think Hungary aren't as bad a team as people are saying. It's just that they're in a very difficult group. I think North Macedonia, we've seen that they're a decent side. I think Finland are probably the weakest team in the competition. Yeah. Looking at Denmark strikers, Braithwaite, Dolberg, Yusuf Poulsen, it's not particularly inspiring. But
I still can't believe Braithwaite plays for Barcelona. It's just every single time I see him play, I'm like, how?
He can't believe he plays for Barcelona. I'm telling you, every morning he wakes up and goes, yes! Every morning.
How did somebody wake up one morning and go, right, we need a bit of backup to lean on Messi? Like, what options have we got? And what decision-making process went to, I think Martin Braithwaite is a really good option. It I know we did it because of an emergency window in Spain. They exploited the goalkeeper being injured to replace the striker. But it's just so strange.
Well, if there's anything we've learned over the past 2 years, is that Barcelona's transfer policy makes zero sense. So it's kind of in fitting with the club, I think. But before we move on to Group A, we need to give a quick word to Russia. They surprised a lot of people in the World Cup last time. They were, of course, on home soil. And I think people put a lot of the credit down to that. Do we think this is an old Russia squad, right? I can't believe that Dzyuba is still up front. Like we said, Zhirkov is still playing. I'm pretty sure they've still got the Berezutsky twins somewhere in there. Do we think
Shavin coming out of retirement for this one?
if only. I would love to see Andre. Do we think Russia is going to surprise anyone? I personally think they're going to be just average, maybe win one, draw one, go out optimistically. Let's go. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, they've got a colourful striker. That's all I can say. Artem Dzyuba. If you don't know, guys,
knob out at some point.
Yes, I was going to say the story. So the reason why he's not captain is because a video circulated of him masturbating. So that's why they're not going to keep a clean sheet. So And the best bit about it, obviously, he won the domestic season with Zenit St. Petersburg, dressed as Deadpool, collecting his medal. So what a guy. He does not give a fuck what people think. And that's the beauty of Dzyuba. He lives up to that mantra of being this tall, lanky striker that can score goals. And he doesn't care if people doesn't rate him. But there is not a lot of hope for Russia. They played Poland recently. They were average. They were a real struggle, to be fair. I can't see them really getting beyond third place. They should do enough to beat Finland, to be honest. They're on home soil for that match as well. That's St. Petersburg for that match. Right. So if they don't win, they'll be bottom of the group. But I think they'll be third place personally.
Very nice. So before we move on to Group A and we have the Italy versus Turkey discussion, let's go quickly through our top three of the group, starting again with Kemal. Who do we think? Who's first? Who's second?
Belgium first, Denmark second.
Nice. Andy?
We're going to go Belgium first, Denmark second.
Adam?
The same, I'm afraid.
I think we're going to get a full house. Luca?
Same, for sure.
Full house. Belgium first, Denmark second. You'll be pleased to know on my accumulator, I did put Belgium first, Denmark second. So fingers crossed, that might be one right. So finally, we get to what I'm going to call the main event, which is Group A. And it's only 2 sleeps away, like a kid at Christmas. I am very excited. And we get to watch our first game. In this group, we have Italy, Switzerland, Turkey, and Wales. Now, we're going to start with Italy versus Turkey. So I'm going to let Luca go first. How is Italy feeling? I'm in Milan, and all the adverts are about Euros. All the kids at school are very confident. How are you feeling about Italy's chances in this tournament?
Well, if I check the recent numbers, Italy's amazing. Even it's a dream compared to what we experienced, when we didn't qualify to the World Cup. So there is this enthusiasm. They qualified very comfortably. They're winning all 10 games. They conceded only 4 goals. I think Belgium was the only other qualifying country that win all 10 games, I think. They are also currently top of their World Cup qualification group. They are unbeaten, I think, in their last 24 or 25 games, which is, I think, is an international record or something like this. Furthermore, they never concede a goal. So if you see these numbers, it looks like like a monster. But my question is, are they really back? This is what we want to know, because if I see the team, the lineup, and I compare to the big names, France, Germany, Portugal, I don't think we are at the same level, to be honest. So I predicted quarterfinals for them. Of course, because I read some comments, it's early, they still need to face good teams, but the missed qualification to the World Cup was already 4 years or 5 years, 4 years ago, I think, something like that. So time passed. I think they're ready now. I think it's a good team. Of course, I don't expect them to win, but again, quarterfinals, I think will be the right dimension. It depends if the draw will be kind with us. I do think it's a very difficult group, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. It is a very difficult group. I think what I worry about for Italy, and I think, again, you've got one of the better midfields with Barella, Verratti, and Jorginho. That midfield is unbelievable. But what I worry about is strikers. And again, this is a theme we've talked about with a few teams. I think Belotti, I've never been convinced by. And Immobile as well, despite him getting Capocannoniere so many times, despite him getting the European Golden Boot, I still feel like he's not quite there. I don't know what you think, Luca.
No, you're very right. In fact, if you see all the games, they won every single game, but it was never, of course, apart from when we played like Lithuania or Liechtenstein or whatever, but we were never, blowing away every team. It was like 2-0, even in the World Cup qualification it was 2-0 with Lithuania. So there is this problem. You're very right. To score, not to score in general, but to score with the strikers.
Yeah.
So with the forward, with that man, we need that man. Mm-hmm. So it should be Mobile, should be Belotti, should be
Berardi, maybe.
Exactly, but Berardi is more, is more wings. He plays, So it's between. I think Mobile will play every single game, to be honest. But I think it's a very difficult group. We are the first team to play in the Euro, so this is even more difficult. To be the first one, it's difficult. We play home, and there is a lot of expectation. There will be some public. The opponents is tough. It's really tough. So the first game, I think it's always tricky for everyone. And the first game ever in a tournament, it's even more. So in a way, I am happy that there is no full crowd because because the expectation there is a lot, really, really a lot. As you said, the kids and everything at the time, and everyone. That's the one topic, just one topic in these days. In it, the rest doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. So I'm really, I don't know. This game against Turkey, but even the whole group, as said, Switzerland is tough. As a team, it's there is no big name, but it's difficult to face. So I think, of course, they will qualify. Yeah, I expect them to qualify. I don't know if first, second, or third, but this game against Turkey, I think it will be the most difficult one, and is because of the opponents, of course, and because it's the first one. So yeah.
Nice. And so, Adam, how do you feel about this Italy team? What do you think their chances are? Any players that excite you?
Yeah, I'm actually quite excited by this Italy squad. I've been pleasantly surprised by the progress that they've been doing under Mancini. I think he's been trying his best to have his input on the squad. I think you've rightly called out up top where the issues are. I think there is going to be that problem, but I think they're probably stronger than some other teams, like we've mentioned already, like Denmark, for example, that don't have a recognised forward. So I think, in Immobile, he's probably got a bit more class about him, but you have got a fantastic midfield. I think there's also question marks about the back line, about the fact that they're aging, whether they'll last the whole tournament. I mean, I've not been that impressed with, for example, Chiellini, for example, this season. I think, there's question marks over him. But overall, I did tip this Italy squad to go far in this tournament. I think they've got a good chance. I wonder if that hype where you announce the squad on national TV really helped you guys, to be fair. It seems to be putting a bit more pressure on Italy. But I actually tip Italy to finish this group as being the top team, I think, personally.
Very nice. And Andy, what do you think? Players like Chiesa for me are very exciting. Players like Locatelli, who are you looking forward to seeing in this team?
I think I'm looking forward to seeing if Bastoni gets any sort of game time for
yeah.
them, because he's been great for Inter, and it's unusual in the Serie A for such a young defender to get such regular game time for such a big team as well. So yeah, I think he's another one. And we also Raspadori who came through, as quite a surprise call from Sassuolo. You're always looking for that random one that comes out of nowhere a little bit, and maybe he could be one that comes off the bench, because as you said, I think I was looking at the stats earlier. Immobile and Belotti don't really have great international records. About 1 in 3 for both of them, and it's considering the amount of goals, especially Immobile scores at in Serie A, it doesn't seem to translate to the international stage. And also, I think there is some concerns at wing back as well. Like, Emerson Palmieri is a regular Italy star and doesn't really get much game time for Chelsea, does he?
Sorry, Luca, go.
No, it's very right. The thing is that Mancini loves him. He won the Champions League because he was in the team, but I have the same doubt. I don't know if we should start with him, because I have some big concern about the defense too. Because if you check, as said, Chiellini is now 38, and he barely played. Bonucci, same story. Florenzi is okay because he did good at Paris Saint-Germain. Emerson Palmieri, defense, I have some doubts. So I would change this lineup. I would start with why not? I would start with Spinazzola, who did great, and Bastoni, which was amazing. So I don't know. I expect them to start with. I think they will start with Bonucci and Chiellini, because it's solid. It's
trusted.
Exactly. Trusted. So as a first game, I think he will keep this. He will stick with this thing. But Palmieri, it's okay. But for me, Spinazzola should play because he's he did good. He played every game, so he simply deserves.
Nice. Well, I think it's an exciting squad. I think it is an exciting squad. I think Chiesa is going to be the player that steps up. He always steps up on the big stage for Juventus. I think he is going to have a say in the tournament for Italy. Fingers crossed. But we need to talk about, and I think off mic we were all agreeing even that this team are definitely the dark horse. Not to put any pressure on, but Turkey, Kemal, how are you feeling about Turkey? What are people saying in Turkey? How are they feeling about the chances? What's the squad looking like?
So the general consensus in Turkey is that they're quite realistic about where Turkey will end up. So I think there's a lot of pressure on the squad to get out the group, basically. However, beyond the group stages, it's going to be hoping for the best.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the team itself, the defense is okay, I feel. I think Soyuncu is probably the standout centre-back there. He seems to be getting more of the game time than some of the others. Obviously, Celik has been a League One champion this year. However, in the middle of the park as well, we've got some decent players. However, I don't think there's, in the subs, I don't think we've got too much of an option. I think Çalhanoğlu and Yazıcı are like the standout players. However, in Turkey and Turkish football, the media are raving about Tufan, and as majority of Turkey squad are playing in European leagues, there's not many great prospects coming out of Turkey, like developed in Turkey, and Tufan is one of them. And when it comes to the big man up top, Yilmaz, I think it's literally all the pressure's on him, really. They all expect him to bag goals left, right and centre. But in reality, if he picks up an injury or gets a suspension, I think we haven't got too much in terms of backup, really. So, yeah, that's the way I see it panning out. I see us getting out the groups. However, beyond that is let's hope for the best.
Yeah, Luca, go.
Yeah, I have a question. Is Demiral playing? Because I saw in every lineup he was listed as playing, but this year it was a bit like he didn't really play. Then there were some rumors that they were going to sell him. So you think he will be like?
I think he's going to start personally, but he played in the last game against Moldova. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes, I guess.
He's got to be better than Kabak at the back.
Yeah, I mean, Schalke have got relegated now, so I don't know where his future holds. But I think Liverpool didn't. I don't think they decided on making his contract permanent.
Have they now?
Yeah, no, I don't blame him. I think it was just a quick fix. So I think Soyuncu is the main man at the back, really, and he has been really good for Leicester, and he's still quite young as well. So good prospect for Turkey in the future.
Well, this is something about Turkey. They do have the youngest squad on average in the tournament. And I think like not only is it good to see Turkey back in a tournament and like looking like a team, but this is like a promising sign for the future. Again, I feel like Turkey have been in the wilderness football-wise for quite a while. The last tournament I remember them making an impact in is 2002, right?
Yeah.
So
that's third, yeah. With some Gunners.
Like we were all in high school, I'm going to say at that point, right? It was a long time ago, so I think it's good to see him back. Like, I think we've said it before. This is a tough group. Switzerland, we've seen in many tournaments, are always a pain in the arse. The only team to beat Spain when they did win the World Cup or the Euros, one of them, I can't remember. And Wales, last time quarterfinalist, semi-finalist, right?
Yeah, semi-finalist.
Yeah, last time semi-finalist. So lots of teams here that could cause problems. Let's take a quick moment to talk about Wales. Obviously, Ryan Giggs will not be manager or managing the women's team, I don't think, for the future. But they do still have some good players around. They do still have Gareth Bale if he fancies it. Do we think he's going to turn up? I think this is his swan song before he retires, right?
He's not going to retire.
Of course he's going to retire. He wants to be on the golf course.
Nah, he's not. No. I think with Ancelotti coming back to Real Madrid, I think he'll stick around. He did finish the season like on form. Like I think he got like 10 goals in about 21 appearances. Like you know, can you imagine if Mourinho actually played it from the start? It probably would have been a lot different. And yeah, he is still a quality player and a really good finisher. He's still hands down Wales' best player, and he always turns up for Wales. He always, even when he's been like injured and unavailable for Real Madrid, he still rocks up on international duty for Wales. You know, as that flag. What was it? That flag? Is it Wales, Golf, Madrid in that order? That's a sense to be a little bit different now with Zidane having left Real Madrid, but I think a lot of it's relying on him because their squad, as much as I think they're another one where it's not a spectacular squad, but they've always had a lot of unity and team spirit and, you know, a lot of togetherness. And I think that does count for something in tournaments. But they've got some experience there, but they've got an awful lot of like really untested talent. You know, you've got Dylan Levitt, who's was playing in League One during the season. You know, Matt Smith from Manchester City, who's, you know, loitered around the reserve squad, and it's obviously Joe Allen. You know, apart from maybe looking a bit like a Welsh peer, though he's nothing like it. I
think their squad is still like the linchpins are still the same players that it was at the last tournament, as in Bale, Aaron Ramsey, right? These are the players that the kind of team is built around. But I do quite like their front three of the Wilson, Bale, Daniel James kind of trifecta of absolute pace. I think within their like and chaos within their game plan, I think that is a front three that could cause a lot of damage. I think, look, will they get through the group? It's a tough ask for Wales to get through this group. Maybe they'll get a third place qualification if Switzerland don't turn up. Honestly, I think this group is so hard to call. I think we're wrapping it up, but what I'm going to say is I'm going to ask you for your top two for Group A, and then we'll quickly preview the game tomorrow. Kemal, your 1 and 2 from Group A.
I'm going Italy, Turkey.
Andy.
I'm going to go Italy and Wales.
Ooh, Adam.
Italy, Turkey.
Luca.
Turkey, Italy.
Oh,
Wow. Okay. And I'm going to go for Italy, Turkey. So quickly, before we let you go, listeners and viewers, about the game tomorrow, how confident are you feeling about the game tomorrow? Let's start with Kemal.
Game tomorrow? Oh, sorry.
Friday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Friday,
Well, tomorrow.
yeah.
The episode comes out tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oops,
Yeah.
edit.
Yeah.
Should do that again. Yeah.
No, don't worry. We'll keep it in. It's fine.
No. I'm hoping for a draw. If we get a draw, that's a good result for us. I think it's a good start. Yeah. So I think they've been talking about tactics in the Turkish media, and they're saying backs up against the wall for 85 minutes and just pelt for the last 5 and hope for the best. So that's literally got mentioned a fair few times recently. So I think that's what's going to happen. So yeah, if we lose, I'm not disappointed. If we get a draw, then that's a good start. Really good start.
Very nice. Sounds like some things haven't changed since 2002. I believe that was the tactic of the squad back then
Yes,
as well.
it was.
As well as just kicking players off the pitch, from what I remember. But Luca, how are we feeling about the game tomorrow?
I don't have good vibes. There's too much expectation, too much pressure, too much everything, too much people around talking and talking and talking. So historically, Italy is not good at the group stage.
Mm-hmm.
They always struggle. Then when they pass, they relax. So I would not be surprised if I don't think they will lose, but I will be really surprised if they win. I'm telling you. So I think it will be a draw, but Italy will risk.
Wow, both sitting on the fence. I kind of weirdly like it, but cool. Okay, well, thank you for joining me, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. So I'm going to quickly go. If people want to follow you on social media, I'm going to go Andy and Adam. I'm going to give you a chance to plug your pod and your private accounts.
Go with you, Andy, first.
Yeah, so my just search Andrew McBride into Twitter. My name comes up there. The tag name is Business Nutter. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to follow me, I'm at Adam Gipke on Twitter. And our podcast, which we like to do quite regularly on a regular basis, is at Hopeless Pod, or you can check us out on Instagram at the Hopeless Wanderer Podcast.
Beautiful. Kemal, if people want to find you on Twitter, Instagram, where can they find you?
Oh, just Instagram, and it's just Kemal Toraman, and I'm sure you'll find it.
There we go. And finally, Luca.
Believe it or not, I do not have any social media.
Oh,
no jokes. Yeah, proud of this. but I hope I will be here at the Anglo-Italian pod again soon. So
we will see you post one Italy game. I'll rush back from the pub and we can do a match review.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Okay, well, thank you for joining us, guys, and thanks for joining us, listeners. We will see you at some point during the Euros. Just keep an eye on our social media. Thanks for joining us, and see you later.
Good luck to everyone. Good Euro.
Bye, guys.
Take it easy.
Cheers.